If you ask most experienced rowers for one tip to improve your technique, you'll find loads of people will tell you to focus on pushing with your legs and not pulling with your arms. What does this mean, and why could it be damaging your rowing? Stick around. The thinking behind it is sound. It's about getting rowers to push with their legs at the drive rather than pulling with their arms right from the start. And it's something that I used to really buy into. In fact, I originally named my RowAlong YouTube channel PDP because I thought that push it, don't pull it was such a good way to describe the sequence of the stroke. But I soon came to realise that I'd started to develop a kind of strange quirk to my stroke ever since I started thinking about pushing and not pulling. Because I'd stopped pulling. Before I get into that, there is another reason why only focusing on just pushing with the legs is damaging. If you only think about a leg push and you have no strong connection with your core or your lats or arms to transfer the power from your legs through your body into the handle and the machine, all that happens is this: a giant butt scoot. And it's worth bearing this in mind and looking out for it in your stroke, as even a small butt scoot can reveal a timing error of when that leg push and core engagement happens to send the power up into the handle. One way to help this is to pre-activate the muscles in your back by adding a little external rotation through your elbows. This brings your shoulders down and together a bit, switching on your lats, which help with this power connection. But butt scoots and lats aside, why did pushing with the legs mean that I had stopped pulling? Well, obviously I didn't entirely stop pulling. I would take a stroke and my arms would come into my chest. But I'd been focusing for so long on my stroke being all about the push from the front that I'd forgotten that I also needed to finish with a strong pull at the back. Now, you'll probably have heard that the stroke is round about 60% legs, 30% back, and then 10% arms in terms of the power generation. But you do still need to put in some oomph in order to get that 10% power into the machine from your arms. And I was finding I was doing that big push of the legs, rocking over my hips to get power from my back, and then because I was constantly thinking about not pulling, I'd only be putting in a lackluster 5% power from my arms, missing out on some of that full squeeze of extra force to keep that flywheel spinning. Look, I'm not saying that when people tell you to push with the legs and not to pull with the arms, that cue is wrong. But what I think needs to be more clear is that we're only talking about the initial drive with the legs from the front. You want to start by leaning into a 1 o'clock with your hips tilted forwards and a powerful posture up on your sit bones. Then with straight arms, push with the legs and let the power flow through your body so you're hanging off the handle through braced arms and sending all that force from your legs to get that flywheel spinning fast. Pulling early, grabbing either before or during the leg drive, not only fights against the power generated from your legs, soaking it up before it gets into the machine, it also means that when you do get to the back of the stroke to pull, you've already used up and possibly wasted a portion of that power. And in the end, this is all about getting the most power into the machine as efficiently as possible. So the point of the push with the legs is to get that flywheel accelerating up to speed as quickly as you can. But once you get to about halfway through that leg drive, the leg power starts to drop off, which is when the backswing occurs, adding power back into the stroke, and then the stroke gets its final top up from the arms. You can see this on the force curve on the Concept 2's monitor. Here is an example of the curve driving out of the front with just the legs. And here's another one when I add in the backswing. And now here's the final stroke finishing with the arms. You can see from the curve that the power is sustained much better when all of the elements of the stroke are combined in the right sequence. And finally, just so you can see why rowers will tell you to push with the legs and not pull with the arms in the first place, here's a full stroke, but wrongly pulling with the arms from the front. This results in a smaller curve and power hiccups through the stroke, resulting in less speed and giving the flywheel more time to slow down before the next stroke. So what difference does a pull make? Let's look at that force curve again. Here's my stroke as I had wrongly started to row, all drive from the legs and back, and just a lackluster finish with the arms. No thought to a strong pull to the finish. And here's the curve when I do finish strong, squeezing my shoulder blades together and trying to get every ounce of power into the machine. After all, in a race or a test, you're looking to go as fast as possible, and this strong finish at the back of the stroke can mean the difference between first or second place, a PB or a close call, or maybe just beating that friendly rival. So, rather than telling people to push with their legs and not to pull, I much prefer extending the mantra to push, rock, pull, recover. It may not look quite as good on a t-shirt, but it will make you row a lot faster if you're going through the same issue that I did. So, push with the legs, making sure you have that connection from your core and back to send the power into the handle. Rock over your hips, letting your torso add extra power into the stroke. A strong pull into the finish with your arms, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Then recover by pushing the handle away from you at the same speed you pulled it in at, rocking forwards over your hips to get into that forward lean with the right posture up on your sit bones. And then once the handle is past your knees, bend them to effortlessly slide to the front of the machine, into the catch position, ready to do it all over again. There's a lot more to say about stroke technique, of course, but for this video, I'm really trying to get across that as important as it is to know not to pull from the front of the machine, it's just as important to pull at the back of the stroke and not just limp into a finish. And if you feel that you do have to pull to fight against the weight of the machine right from the get-go of your stroke, or that you need to do that rock over the hips right from the start, then maybe try lowering your drag factor. Take the weight of the machine out of the equation and practice getting the sequencing right. You'll likely find that once you've got the timing right, you're rowing just as fast as you were with the higher drag factor. Except now you're rowing with greater efficiency, allowing you to row faster for longer, which is what this is all about. So, thanks for checking in on this video. If you're interested in any of my RowAlong workouts, just have a look through the channel on YouTube. There's well over 100 different workouts, close to 200 right now in fact. And there's a 2K, 5K and 500 meter plan too, all with a friendly motivational slant, no evangelical PT style shouting in my videos. And if you enjoyed this or any of my workouts, please do click on subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified of new videos. Stay safe, be well, bye bye.